God is good, and all the time, glory be to Jesus, honor to Mary. Good morning. Going through the readings of today, we see what in human life has been the focus, which usually I call the 3 P's. Man is constantly in search of the first P, pleasure. He's also in search of the second P, power. And the third P, possession. And these constitute the human wants. But we all know that human wants is insatiable. We can't satisfy it. You continue to want more. No matter how rich you are, how powerful you are, you still want more. But we see in Solomon this morning, choosing what is important. It was not after the pleasure. It was not after the power. It was not after possession. He asked the Lord for what he needed. And that was the wisdom to govern the people. The need. When you walk after what is needed, all other things will fall in place. When you do your work well, money will follow you. No matter what you do under what is actually just needed, every other thing will be following. Just like Luke chapter 12 tells us, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and every other things will be added unto you. That takes me to the topic for which I'm asked to talk today, and that's on addiction as a major challenge in family life. The principle of addiction also follows these 3 P's. The pleasure that we want to take from drinking, smoking, from using our phone, from food, from working, whatever it is. Possession also comes from it. And of course, in this case, it's the addiction itself possessing you, not you possessing it. And thirdly, power. Of course, we know some people have to take drug so that they can function, And of course, it also gives a kind of a class to some people. But when we talk about addiction, it is good to know that we most of the time misunderstand the very concept of addiction. Sometimes we misunderstand habit for addiction. There's a difference between habit and addiction. Although both of them are learned behaviors, but addict can be easily taken care of. Addiction is not. Addiction is not as simple as it sounds. It's a disease. It's a disease of the brain. Disease of the brain. What your brain is telling you. And that is why alcohol is not the addiction, cigarette is not the addiction, marijuana is not the addiction, sex is not the addiction, food is not the addiction. Talk about it. They are not addiction in themselves. And that is why some people can drink and not be addicted. But some people can drink and they are addicted. Why? Addiction is a complex phenomenon of a biopsychosocial techno-spiritual nature. I repeat, of a biopsychosocial techno-spirituality. Bio, because it touches on the issue of your biology, your physical self. Psycho, because it deals with your feelings, your emotions, your neuroadaptive. Social because it touches on your relationship with your families and friends. Techno because it talks also about your relationship with technology and what the technology can feed your brain with. And the spirituality because it deals with your relationship with God, with the divine. No one is immune from addiction. No one. Not even me. And not you. No matter how smart, intelligent, brilliant, spiritual, you can be plagued by addiction. But we have to understand it from three concepts. Like I said, anyone can be addicted, and you can be addicted to anything on anyone. There is always the use or what I call the do. Either you use or you do. The other level is the abuse. And the third level is where you get to the addiction. Meaning, addiction is a progressive, it progresses. It's not something that falls on you. Bam! And you say, I am addicted. No. It develops. It starts from simple using or doing. I'll give you an example. I'm sure almost all of us have phones, right? Right? Okay. Do we use phone? Yeah. And that's the use. You use the phone. However, using the phone for your business, for school, for communication, chatting, that's okay. That's just the use. But then, from the use, it can go into abuse. And I'll give you an example. By the time you see yourself in this church, and while I'm talking, you are chatting, you are still talking to your friend on your phone, you're already abusing the use of phone. Because by the nature of being abused, it seems it's like what is not culturally accepted. So if you use it in a way that is not accepted in this church, because at the beginning they have told you, please switch off your phones. You see me, I'm using mine though, but I'm not abusing it. I'm using it to record. Okay, so, and then you begin to use it to chat or do whatever, then you're abusing. But by the time you get to the level where your phone becomes part of you, that if you forget your phone at home, you feel uncomfortable throughout the day. Or you lose your phone, you think your whole world has collapsed. You are addicted to that phone. You see, it grows from use to the abuse and of course to the addiction. I'm going to ask you some questions and just answer for yourself. And you can picture anything or anyone or any situation or condition. Could even be your job or shopping, for example, or playing games. The first question is, has anyone ever told you about any behavior at all and tells you this thing you are doing is not good? Or you are doing this thing too much? Why is it that you watch television all the time? Why is it that you are always on your phone? Has anyone ever told you that? Or, honey, your drinking habit is becoming something. Or to your child, why are you always doing this? If you have been told. Okay. 2, have you on your own also look at that behavior or that activity and said to yourself, I think I need to stop. I'm going to stop. And you stop it. And within a day or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, bam, you have started all over again. And you try to challenge yourself to stop. And then you stop, and then you continue again. Okay? 3, has your use of any drugs or alcohol, even prescription medication or any of those behaviors, kind of a thing, maybe phone, shopping, internet, gambling, whatever it is, caused trouble for you. Trouble in terms of either you have lost your job because of it, or you have lost a relationship because of that, or it's causing a trouble in your marriage and family, or whatever it is. 4, do you always have this urge to do it, or to eat it, or to drink it? The urge, if you don't do it, it's like something is missing. Anyways, if you say yes to any of the questions I just asked, it's either you're already addicted or you're on the path of becoming addicted. To any of those questions I asked, if you can say yes to any of them. Now, the focus is not just looking at addiction. We know addiction can be caused, it's the interaction of nature and nurture. In one of my poems I wrote, in the success of nature, you are nurtured. In the success of nurture, you are you. In the success of nature, you are nurtured. Sorry, my Kenyan environment is affecting my Nigerian English. So manage. So in the success of, let me call it Nigerian way. In the success of nature, you are nurtured. In the success of nurture, you are you. That's how addiction also interacts. It's about our nature and nurture. Nature, because it is said that we can be predisposed to it because it has genetic factor. It runs in some people's family. If there's an alcoholic, somebody who is having problem with alcohol in your family, just check, is it the only person? Check your parents, check your grandparents. Do they have those issues? You may see it coming into your own self or into your child as well. There's a possibility. However, do not glory in the fact that it can be genetical and start telling the person, hey, sweetheart or daddy, I told you it's not my fault. It's genetics. That is not what I'm saying. Even if it is genetical, it takes you to first start using. The genetics does not make you to use. It's only that when you use, you are prone to being addicted. And of course, it has a lot of nurture factor. The family, in terms of the way the father, the mother, are they also into the same behavior? Because we learn. Your child can learn from you. Peer pressure is there. They can pick that. The environment, the way you look at it. Like I always make a joke that Catholics are more likely to be addicted to alcohol than Pentecostals. Yes, because Catholic says drinking is not a sin. So you are more to use drinking for anything you want to do than the Pentecostal who doesn't. Even though they may be sneaking to drink it, but they know it's not acceptable. You see. But when all these things begin, they are not only affecting the person or the persons who are struggling with addiction. It's equally a family disease. When I mean a family disease, I'm not talking in terms of being hereditary or genetical. It ripped everybody into pieces in the family. You can picture yourself, if you have anybody at all who has any form of addiction or what you think may be an addiction in your family, and see the way you feel about it. Many times you don't feel good. It's just like a situation of somebody or a caregiver. The caregiver, or when you have an aged father or mother who is terribly sick and you are the one taking care of them. You know the way you feel when you are taking care of them? You yourself, you are sick in many times because of the trouble you are having over the sick person. The same way is addiction. It takes that toll not only on the person, but on the family. It can drain you financially. It can drain your relationships, even as your family dynamics. It can make you lose your job. It can cause, in short, between the husband and wife who is dealing, or the husband and wife who are dealing with their child or their daughter or their son with addiction, sometimes they keep blaming each other and nagging and doing this or that. Many times because we don't even know what we are dealing with. So you begin to blame yourselves as parents. But I can get you as a good news this morning, parents, don't blame yourself for your child's addiction. Every child has the will. Every child, even from the womb, the child has the will. And because these objects of addictions are way we are coping with environment, because I have the will, I respond as a person to my environment. I can respond in a healthy way, and I can respond in a negative way. For example, if I'm anxious right now, I can choose to drink alcohol to calm down, because alcohol is a depressant. But I can choose to do breathing exercise. You see what I'm saying? If I do that, I'm only coping with my anxiety. One is healthy, the other one is what? Is not healthy. And many times we respond like that. So when we see our children, it's not only also true. Don't blame the peer pressure for their problem, because they can choose to either do what the peers want or not. Because we respond as adherers. Adherers are those who follow easily. We can respond by being a rejecter. Rejecter will be like somebody who doesn't want to be what others are doing. If my father is smoking and I don't want to smoke, I'm a rejecter. You see what I mean? I can be a forcer. Forcer is somebody who you think you know your child very well. I know my son, but you have no idea what that person is doing outside. It's like playing double games. It's not what you know the person to be that the person is. And the child can also respond by being nonchalant, quiet, calm, and you think he doesn't talk. Yet you have no idea what is going on in the person's mind. So what I'm saying in essence is that when addiction starts, it actually gets over everyone and can rip everyone into, in any way, any form. For us parents also, it can be, especially the most destructive addiction in a family today. Do you agree with me? It's your telephone. By the time your telephone becomes more important than anyone in the family, you are already there. When you are husband and wife, you're supposed to have your time together, or you are able to eat together, and everyone is still busy on the phone. These have actually, it's supposed to connect us, but it has disconnected us. And you only need to go and see what is on your children's phone. You will not believe what they are watching. Phones and the internet and whatever way you want to call it has become a means of the transmission of evil agenda, and we are the one being bought up by it out of our own greed for the content that is on our phones. Is it pornography? By the time you engage in pornography, most likely will lead you to masturbation. And by the time you are masturbating, even as a man, husband, or wife, in fact, by the time your wife denies you sexual relations, or your husband denies you sexual relations, you can often find, coping, find solace. By the time you get hooked to this, that man or woman will not get you anymore. Because, moreover, I can get what I want from the phone. So why do I do with you? And some go into telephone sex and they will feel sexed. It has destroyed many homes. And also that's why you have to watch the way you use your phone and check whether am I using it or am I abusing it, or it has turned to addiction. The good news is, no matter what form of addiction it is, no matter how powerful it can be, God can deliver us from the hold of addiction. First, if you are noticing something like that in what I've said today, don't think it's something you can deal with by yourself. You may probably need professional help. Please seek help. I say again, they don't need to tell you, please seek help, because prevention is better than cure. And of course, prevention costs less than treatment. And if you are the one, parents, having a child, or is yourself or your husband or your wife or your parents having the same issues, and you are dealing with it, you've been going from doctors to doctor, this to this, blaming each other in the family, it's just telling you that you too, you need help. You need help to be able to help the other person that you are trying to help. Otherwise, you slipped into what we call codependency. Being addicted to the person who is addicted. You need help yourself to be able to know. And I just want to tell you this before I stop here, is that please, when you have somebody who is struggling with either alcohol or drug addiction, and the person is high or intoxicated and has just returned home, please, the first action is not shouting on this person or nagging, complaining. You know why? You are wasting your time. That person at that time is in the state of insanity. Does not know what you are saying. Yes, it's responding, but it's not coordinating. So the first time to talk to somebody is not when the person is in the high. It's when the person is out of it. Even as a therapist myself, if somebody comes to me high, I will tell the person, either I take the person for where the person is going to be detoxed. You know, the drug have to leave your body before we can talk reasonably. So that's not the time to shout and do whatever. What you need to do is to get the person, first show compassion. Get the person to sleep if he has to sleep. Give him food when he needs food. Let the thing be over. When the person is back, to say, yesterday, what happened? Now we can talk. And of course, please, don't think it's something you can play with gently. Especially if it's a situation of co-occurring disorders, where a mental health issue is interfering with addiction, or addiction is causing mental health issue. It is not easy. If there's anyone addicted in your family, please mark my words. The person is a sick person and needed to be treated as such. If he's a husband, there will be a lot of denial patterns because you want to think, I'm the man here, you can't tell me what to do. Please seek help. I pray that God, who is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above we can ever ask or imagine, God who heals, who can heal all diseases, who can take care of things, to visit you today and heal all forms of this addiction that is bogging into our family relationships, that is bogging into our married love, that is even bogging into our church, to be free of them through Christ our Lord.